Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can. And I continue with Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition. Let's go around the ship and see if anyone has anything to say about that mission where I saved the colony of Terra Nova from a Batarian terrorist attack.
Commander, something you need?
I somehow doubt it.
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You want me as your pilot. Top of my class in flight school, I earned that. All those commendations in
I'm
my
sorry, Joker. I didn't even know you were...
Okay, I've got... Even with crutches, put the Normandy in my hands and I'll make her dance for you.
I have to go.
Alright.
Okay, he just repeats himself. I somehow doubt they will have new dialogue, because obviously that is a DLC. I'm not sure how much effort did they put into it when it comes to new content outside of the mission. But I will check. You know, I would be pretty sad if they had new dialogue and I missed it.
Anything you need, Commander?
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Dr. Tassoni. Seems like a sweet girl. Easy on the eyes. I mean, if you like the bookish sort.
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
Well, they know about the stonewalling you've had from the Council.
And what do they think?
They're on your side. They're pissed about the resistance we're getting, especially from our side. I'll have a better handle on all of it when my head stops hurting. Another L2 flare-up.
Anything I can do?
No, Commander, it'll settle down. It's rough sometimes, but they spike higher than a lot of L3s. Except for you, of course. Besides, I fared a lot better than some after Kinetics was through.
Well, I don't actually have a biotic implant, so that's weird that he brings it up. Because I'm not a biotic, I don't have biotic powers, so, and I don't have an amp, so I assume I just don't have an implant, because I'm not a class that uses biotics.
I haven't heard anything about Kinetics in a while.
Yeah, they quietly disappeared. Broke up into a bunch of little corps after they botched the training on Jump Zero. After first contact, Kinetics was set up to track Element Zero exposures and develop implants for humans. Once we had an embassy on the Citadel, Kinetics could bring in experts instead of taking it slow.
Is there some reason we couldn't learn it on our own?
They didn't know where to start. Hell, it took a couple of years to even link biotics and EZO. Forget trying to get the kids to move stuff. They had trouble just helping them not break their own limbs. And their choice of teachers didn't help much.
The only experts would have to be aliens.
Dead on. Turians, actually. That's why Kinetics kept it a secret. They were afraid of what people back home would think, asking the Turians for help when we just fought a war with them.
The Asari would have been more acceptable than the Turians.
Yes, but the company didn't go through the Citadel. It would have made Earth look weak, so they discreetly hired some Turian mercenaries.
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure they meant well. Those corporations, as has been established, are pretty scummy, up to and including intentionally exposing children to, you know, cancerous material in hopes of some percentage of them developing biotic powers.
I'm sure Kinetics did what they thought was best.
It wasn't best for us. They brought in an ex-military Turian named Commander Vernus. A real hard-ass. He basically had a free pass to break us if it would turn out a decent biotic. Kind of spiraled from there, Commander.
Did he ever face charges for that?
He got his, yeah. But like everything else at Jump Zero, it was under the table. The less said, the better. Anyway, This is ancient stuff. I walked it off a long time ago. I should get back to my duties, Commander. We're here to make history, not rehash it.
We'll talk another time, Lieutenant.
Commander?
So actually they do get new dialogue, but it's not related to the mission itself. It just advances their personal dialogue.
I get the feeling you want to ask me something, Commander.
As if we just progressed through a major story mission.
Maybe we could pick up where we left off. You were telling me about your interest in the Protheans.
Actually, I think I was talking about my interest in you, and making a fool of myself in the process. As I said, I am not used to dealing with people, especially humans. I did not really know much about your species when we first met, Shepard. I found it hard to take humanity seriously. Your kind always seemed so rushed and high-strung.
Well, we don't have the luxury of time. An Asari can live for 1,000 years. We're lucky if we hit 150.
That is true. At first I thought that was a weakness of your species. After spending time with you and your crew, however, I think it may actually be an advantage. You humans are creatures of action. You pursue your goals with an almost indomitable determination. It is an admirable trait, but also an intimidating one.
You're scared of us?
Unfortunately, the rest of the galaxy sees humanity as something of a bully. You run over anyone in your path to get what you want. It is up to people like you to change their minds, Shepard.
I'm doing the best I can, Liara.
There is a reason the Council chose you to become a Spectre. They saw something special in you. The best of what humanity has to offer. I looked into your history. I know what you did during the Blitz. It was a remarkable display of courage and heroism.
You didn't need to go behind my back. I would have told you whatever you wanted to know.
I apologize, Commander. After our last conversation, I was afraid I would say something stupid again. I wanted to know more about you. To understand what made you into the man you are. There is something compelling about you, Shepard.
Unacceptable. The short summaries of some of those renegade responses are hilarious all unto themselves. Like, I don't even need to click it to be consistently amused by some of those options.
Are you sure you're interested in me? Or is it my visions of the Protheans?
I admit, your connection to the Protheans had something to do with my initial interest, but it has grown beyond that. You intrigue me, Shepard, but I was not sure if it was appropriate to act on my feelings. I thought there might already be a relationship between you and Chief Williams.
To be honest, I really dislike the rapid progression of romances in BioWare games, and specifically in this one. We have talked once before that, and we're already, being railroaded into a romantic relationship, which I am going to go for. Liara is probably my favorite character, and I think she has a very cool character storyline over the whole franchise. I'm definitely not going for Ash, that's for sure.
Williams and I are just friends, nothing more.
My mistake, then. I am not as adept at understanding human relationships as I thought. But what about us, Shepard? Is there a mutual attraction, or was I wrong about that too?
Yeah, this is patently ridiculous to me. This is the second time ever that we've talked. And in terms of time passed, it couldn't have been more than a couple days at most, with the hopping between the systems and whatever. So this is all patently ridiculous, but I am going to go for a relationship with her because I like her as a character.
No, you were right. There is something between us.
I knew it, and I knew you felt it too. But does this not seem rather strange? Why do I feel so close to you? We have only known each other a short time. We are from two different species. We have almost nothing in common. This makes no sense.
These things never make sense. They just happen, and we get swept up in the storm.
You make it sound so chaotic, so dangerous.
I'll keep you safe.
I am not looking for a protector. This is all a bit overwhelming. I am not used to this. I need some time.
Take all the time you need, Liara. I'll be here.
Thank you, Shepard. Let's just talk about something else for now.
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
There is one other serious contender for me for a relationship with a male character, that being Tali. You can get into a relationship with her from Mass Effect 2 onwards. You can't really... maybe there are some very slight hints that she has a crush on you in Mass Effect 1, but you can't really act on it. It only gets developed in Mass Effect 2. She is a very cool character as well, but overall I think Liara has a more interesting character arc. So I'll go with Liara. Also, I have to admit something. I find the design of, I like the fact that she's blue. Blue is my favorite color, so, blue space alien babes is a pretty tantalizing concept if you're me.
Something I can do for you, Commander.
Carry on, Adams.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Shepard, I'm glad you're here.
Good to see you smiling again, so to speak.
I'm sleeping much better now. I guess I'm getting used to how quiet your ship is. I still think a lot about my pilgrimage, though. I know Theron's our top priority, but with all the worlds we go to, I was hoping to find something to bring back to the flotilla.
What are you hoping to find?
Usually, people bring back something like a derelict ship we can use for salvage. But I need something bigger. There's a lot expected of me.
What's so special about you?
It's my father. He's the senior member of the Admiralty Board. He's one of only 5 people who can overrule the decisions of the Conclave for the good of the migrant fleet. My father is responsible for the lives of 17 million people. Our entire race is in his hands, and I'm his only child.
So are you some kind of heir to the Quarian throne or something?
No, it doesn't work that way. My father's position isn't hereditary. I'll probably never serve on the Admiralty Board myself. Officially, I'm just the same as any other citizen. But it doesn't work that way in practice. People have always treated me differently because of who my father is.
You must get all kinds of special privileges.
I probably had it easier than most growing up, but it's not all good. People like my father have enemies, and they're not above using me to get to him.
It must be tough on you.
My people place a high value on family and ancestry. There's an unspoken expectation that I'll live up to my father's example. Everyone's waiting for me to do something great on my pilgrimage, something that will forever change our lives for the better. If I don't, it's like I failed, and that reflects badly on both me and my father.
The work you're doing here is more important than anything any Quarian has ever done before.
Yes, I know. But you have to understand Quarian culture. We're a very insular society. The events beyond the flotilla don't much matter to the average citizen. Our greatest dream is that one day, we'll return to our homeworld and drive out the Geth. But even if we stop Saren, that's not going to happen. There's still millions of Geth behind the veil. Until they're gone, our exile will continue.
What would you need to bring back to make everyone happy?
Something that would help us better understand the Geth. They've changed significantly since the exile. They've continued to evolve. We've done our best to study them, but it's not easy. They're very reclusive. Until recently, they never went beyond the borders of the Veil. And all the Geth we run into now are under Saren's control. We'd need to find Geth operating on their own, independently. But I don't want this to get in the way of our mission, Shepard. First, we stop Saren. Then I'll worry about my own problems.
What was your father like?
It wasn't easy growing up as the daughter of one of the Admiralty. Even before he joined the board, he was a prominent figure. People looked to him for leadership. He had to set an example, and he expected the same of his daughter. Plus, he was pretty strict, a military man through and through. He never allowed me to settle for anything less than excellence. As a kid, I sometimes felt like he was pushing me too hard. But now I'm old enough to appreciate what he taught me. The world doesn't owe us anything. If we want something in life, we have to earn it.
Why does he use past tense? It has not been implied that he's dead. In fact, it has been very strongly implied that he's still alive and in charge.
Where was your mother in all this?
Mother was around, but she always seemed to kind of blend into the background. Almost like she was overshadowed by my father. He tends to do that to people. She passed on about 5 years ago. Some airborne virus that swept through the fleet. Happens sometimes when the filters start to break down. I think my father took it pretty hard. After she was gone, he became even more focused on his work. I think that was his way of dealing with the grief.
Sounds like a tough upbringing. You don't resent your father at all?
Like I said, it wasn't easy. My father's not the kind of person you bond with. And he wasn't around all that much. Too busy. People counted on him, and he took his duties seriously. Even when he was around, he always seemed a bit distant. Like his mind was always somewhere else. Come to think of it, I can't ever remember seeing him smile. Not once. It's like he was always weighed down by all that responsibility. I mean, I know he cares about me, but he never really showed it, not in the usual way. I guess the best thing I can say about my father is that I respect him.
I want to talk about something else.
Like what?
I should go.
See you later.
What do you want, Shepard?
Why did you become a mercenary?
Lots of reasons.
Such as?
Such as, I needed to get out of our system. I needed to eat. I needed to survive.
Why not stay and help your people?
I tried to help. That's why I had to leave.
What happened?
I was betrayed. I was head of a small tribe. We were trying to restore order after the war, but the other tribes were against us. They followed Jared, one of the few warlords who survived the war with the Turians. But he was old, and so were his ideas. He wanted to continue the war. He wanted us to fight. Turians, Solarians, each other. It didn't matter who, as long as we were fighting.
What did you want?
I just wanted Jared to shut up, to stop his ranting. I wanted him to stop leading the tribes astray. But he couldn't understand how much things had changed. We didn't have the numbers to go to war. Even if we did, the genophage made sure we couldn't replenish our numbers fast enough. I told them all to forget about war. We needed to focus on breeding, at least for one generation. And for a while, we were getting through. Some of the tribes started coming around.
I take it the warlord didn't appreciate that.
No, he didn't. He arranged a crush with the tribes, a meeting on neutral ground. He wanted to talk. We met at the Hollows, near the graves of our ancestors. The skulls of our dead laid bare to remind us where we come from, and where we all go. It's as sacred as any Krogan place can be. Violence is forbidden.
It sounds like a trap to me. You must have suspected as much.
I did. But when your father invites you to a crush, well, there are some laws that even we hold sacred.
Jared was your father?
He was. Until that day. We talked, but we didn't get anywhere. When it was clear that I wouldn't join him, he gave the signal. His men leapt from the graves of our ancestors like Krogan undead. The few that were loyal to me died quickly. I escaped with my life, but not before I sank my dagger deep into my father's chest. That is why I left, and that's why I'll never go back.
You must have family other than your father. Don't you miss them?
You trying to make me cry, Shepard? I've got some unfinished business with my family, but that's all.
What kind of business?
Before I left, I made an oath to my father's father. I swore to recover my family's battle armor. It was taken from him after the uprising.
What's so important about this armor?
It's a relic. Useless, really. But it was worn by 5 generations of my family before the war. It's rightfully mine. Originally, it was taken by the Turian military. We weren't allowed armor or weapons after the war. Now, it's in the hands of Taun Actus, a Turian scum who collects relics from the war. He's made millions selling Krogan artifacts that were stolen from my people. He's got several bases where he stores his goods, all fortified and guarded. I just don't know which base has my family's armor.
Just tell me where to start looking.
I'll upload the data to your nav system. But Commander, I want to be there when you find him.
So long, Wrex.
Shepard.
Interesting. That's one of the few occasions in which he actually referred to me as Commander. Usually he just calls me Shepard.
Oh, before I go, you said you're serving with Commander Shepard now? We saw him on the news here. He's cute. Later, sis.
Tell me you didn't hear that.
Afraid I did.
Oh, shoot me now. One of my sisters. That's Sarah, the youngest. Surprised to see you here, sir. Thought you'd be chatting up, what's her name? T'Soni?
Liara. Why would you think that?
Scuttlebutt says you got a bit of a thing for her. I could understand why. The crew's off limits with the regs against fraternization. And at least she looks like a woman.
Yeah, to be honest, cut your bullshit. Like, that's so wrong. The way she says that. Like, it's clear to me that she doesn't really consider those aliens people in the same way that humans are. Like, she says she looks like a woman, as if that was some kind of a, you know, subpar substitute. She pretty much says that because she says, you know, there are regulations in the military against fraternization. I'm her commander, so we can't be in a relationship, technically speaking. So she's saying, I know you can't be in a relationship with me, so you're taking this alien as a because there's nothing better. Like, that's so wrong. Just shut up.
I don't see how my personal life is any of your business, Chief.
It's not. I just thought we were getting along pretty well, sir.
Well, we can get along pretty well as long as you stop, you know, comparing aliens to freaking animals.
We are. I'd like that to continue.
All right. But I'm the jealous type commander, just so you know. What's up? You didn't come by to eavesdrop on
okay,
family
so she thinks I wanted that to mean that I would like us to continue to be on friendly terms. I'm not interested in her, but I think this game is constructed in this weird way where they all assume that you are interested in them, and then they have this confrontation later on where you have to choose one. I'll dump her and be happy about it. Like, I really dislike her as a person. She's pretty trash in many of her takes.
Your family seems to be important to you.
Yeah, we've always been close. Me and my sisters especially. With Dad on duty so much, I had to help Mom raise them.
Where did you grow up?
All over. We transferred a half a dozen times before I finished grade school. You go where personnel command sends you, right? I guess that's why I'm so tight with my sisters. We'd have to leave all our friends every 2 or 3 years.
Did your father serve with the fleet?
Yeah, took any crap posting he could get that offered space time. You know what? He worked his ass off trying to get recognized, but he never made it above serviceman 3rd class. He was real proud when I made chief. First thing he did was salute.
What about your mother? You haven't mentioned her.
You must know what military wives are like. Strong because they have to be, able to raise kids while Dad's away on a 6-month cruise. She has a degree in planetary geology. She and Dad both wanted to see new worlds. She gave up her career to raise us, though.
You have more than one sister? Sounds like a big family.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, then Abby, then Lynn. Sarah's the youngest. She's still in high school. With 4 girls, Dad used to say he felt more outnumbered at home than on maneuvers.
After helping raise them, your sisters still talk to you? Amazing.
Things were tense between Sarah and me for a while. Then we bonded.
Sounds like a story. Feel like sharing?
Sarah got herself a boyfriend who wanted to go faster than she did, Mike. I didn't think he was a bad kid, just pushy. Lynn would send me these worried vid mails, and I'd tell her to relax.
Where were you when this was going on?
I was on active duty. Sarah's graduating high school this year. This was only a couple of years back. They were on Amaterasu. At the time, I was assigned to Chernobog. Same cluster, but a dozen LY away. Close enough to talk regularly, too far to make it back in an emergency. I couldn't afford a fast packet flight.
If he really liked her, he wouldn't be pushy.
Yeah, of course. If he didn't ask at all, I'd wonder if he thought Sarah was ugly. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mike thought they'd go for a romantic walk in the woods, because he figured it was past time they did the deed. She levered Mike face first into a tree and left. Didn't have a scratch on her. Good thing Mom and Dad had us all learn some kind of self-defense. I took emergency leave and walked Sarah to school for a few days.
You said all of your sisters learned self-defense?
Lynn did pistol practice, but didn't like it. She's kind of nervous. Sarah took Aikido. Abby decided to learn the sword. She always was a little weird. Likes big skirts and tops you have to tie her into. They do great things to her figure, though.
So, what did you learn?
One of Dad's friends taught me Marine hand-to-hand.
Why can't they ask about the police now?
You said all of your sisters learned self-defense?
Lynn did pistol practice. Abby decided to learn the sword. They do great things to her figure, though.
I'm a bit pissed about that. I wanted to ask the other question as well.
Did anything happen while you were home?
My last day out, Mike was waiting for us. Sarah had told her friends, so everyone at school knew what he did. He wasn't happy. I wanted to snap him in half, but Sarah gave me this look, this let me handle it, I need to do this alone look. She kept her cool, God bless her, as he screamed in her face. She just let him vent. Then he tried to punch her. I swear, she just flowed around him. Next thing I knew, he's face down on the sidewalk, and there's blood everywhere.
That's unbelievable. Sarah must be as good as you.
Better. I'm more or less a straight-up puncher. When he swung, she wasn't there anymore, and he fell. She helped him stop the bleeding and had me call an ambulance. She told the paramedics he fell. Before they took him to the hospital, Mike touched Sarah's arm. I thought he was gonna end up on the ground again. But he hung his head, whispered, "I'm sorry," and started crying. And she hugged him. The Williams women are a decisive bunch, Commander. We do things when we're ready. Not before, not after.
Where was your father during this? Wasn't your family stationed near him?
Dad always wanted to serve in space, but he wanted us to have real ground under our feet. He'd say, space is beautiful, but you can't raise a family there. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I've enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone. For always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments.
I never thought I'd hear you reciting poetry.
Just because I can drill you between the eyes at 100 meters doesn't mean I can't like sensitive stuff. Just don't spread it around. Ulysses was my dad's favorite poem. Every time he shipped out, he recorded me reading it. He had a dozen versions when he retired.
Does he still like it?
I sure hope so. I read it to his grave every time I go home. Dad passed on a few years back. He's probably still watching, though. So behave.
You mean from wherever we go after death?
Dead on, Skipper. He's with God now. That's not a problem with you, is it? That I believe in God?
Well, it's not a problem. That I don't have problems with religious people in principle, but I do have problems with religious people pushing their religion on other people and using it as a justification for telling other people how they should live their lives. I don't have, as long as you just practice religion for yourself, because it gives you comfort or whatever, no problem with that. Although, to be honest, as of late, I've become majorly soured on the whole concept of religious education for kids. Like, I feel like there's something wrong about drilling religious belief into children, because I had this realization where when the daughter of the chairman of the board at the company I work for, she had her first communion, right? And a day afterwards, she spent a whole day crying because she realized that at confession beforehand, she forgot to mention some kind of a sin when reciting, all of her sins to receive absolution for them, and she was crying because it is a sin in and of itself to take communion when you have not been properly absolved of your sins beforehand. So it boggles my mind how sort of destructive that is for a children's psyche, for a child's psyche to have, because that's a totally arbitrary made up nonsense that just made a kid cry for an entire day because they felt they were unworthy in some way, which they didn't even do anything wrong. It was just all those mental frameworks and terms and arbitrary rules. I just think it might actually be wrong to do that to children, because children are going to absorb anything you give them. They don't know any better. But then, of course, there is the problem, quote unquote. It's not a problem for me, but it would be a problem of religious people, is that if you heard about a religion first time when you're already an adult, it's much harder to convert you to that religion, because you have a much more rational understanding of the world, and you're much more questioning of different things. I'm pretty sure if someone knew nothing of Christianity, or Catholicism specifically, and then you told him that he has to prostrate himself before a priest, telling him all of the supposed wrongs that he has committed, for that priest to use his divine link with God to receive absolution from heavens, there is a high probability that that person would tell you you're insane, and they are not going to do that because that's creepy and weird. But if you tell that to a kid, they are just going to accept it as a part of life, and then they are going to spend the whole day crying because they forgot to tell a priest a sin, which is in itself a sin if they took communion afterwards. So, like, if you believe in God, okay, I disagree, I don't believe in God, but if you just do it for yourself, cool. But more often than not, it does, in some way, encroach on the lives of other people, which is the point at which I'm starting to have a problem with that.
Everyone has the right to believe what they want. It says so in the Alliance Charter, only with fancier words.
I'm glad you're open-minded about it. I've met a few people who are really weirded out by my faith. Because I work in space, I can't believe in a higher power? Jeez. Hello, have you people looked out the window? How can you look at this galaxy and not believe in something? I should get back to my duties. Didn't mean to take up so much of your time.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Not sure I buy Dr. Tassoni's story about her and her mom not talking.
I think she's being straight with us, or at least...
Yeah, she's probably... Hey, want me to ask her about her sex life?
I don't think she's used to teasing. Good name.
Aw, no fun, Skipper. Too bad those ruins got destroyed. I mean, they lasted thousands...
We'll talk later, Williams.
Looking forward to it,
Although,
Skipper.
to be honest, I wonder what's the status of Catholicism specifically, or more broadly Christianity, or any of the major monotheistic religions in the world of Mass Effect, because obviously once you introduce aliens into it, the whole Christian theology kind of starts to crumble, because humans are meant to be the pinnacle of creation, for whom the entire freaking universe was created, and who are created directly in the image of God. But how do you square that with the fact that there is, for example, a race of blue-skinned hot alien babes who kind of look like humans, like they mostly look like humans, and they've been around for thousands of years more as a spacefaring civilization conquering and colonizing worlds, whereas humanity was, beating two sticks together at that time? How does that, compute with humanity being God's chosen people or whatever?
Commander, good to see you.
You've been with CSEC a while. Have you seen much action?
Well, not as much as you, but yeah, I've seen some interesting things.
I'll bet you have. Anything in particular that stands out?
I remember this Solarian geneticist I was sent to investigate. That case was a bit disturbing.
What happened? Why were you investigating them?
I was tasked with tracking black market trade on the Citadel. Most of it harmless, nothing I needed to pursue. But during the course of my investigation, I noticed an increase in the trade of body parts, organs mostly. We usually get a few of those, but not the numbers I was seeing. We weren't sure if there was a new black market lab or if some freak was harvesting organs from citizens.
You've seen this before on the Citadel?
Every so often, some lab sells unwanted parts through the black market, but they're not as bad as the psychos. I remember this one L-Corps diplomat we caught in my first year on the job. He was hacking people up and selling their organs. Had the station in a bit of a panic. But this case wasn't that clear-cut. Turns out there was more going on than we first realized.
So how did you figure out what was happening?
First, we got a hold of a sample and ran DNA tests. The weird thing was, the match led us to a Turian who was still alive and was very convinced he'd never lost his liver. After a bit of digging, I discovered this Turian worked briefly for Dr. Salion, the geneticist. So I went to his lab hoping to find evidence of cloned organ development, but there was nothing. No Solarian hearts, no Turian livers, not one Krogan testicle.
You're kidding, right? Why would anyone want Krogan testicles?
Some Krogan believe that testicle transplants can increase their virility, counteract the effects of the genophage. It doesn't work, but that doesn't stop them from buying. They'll pay up to 10,000 credits each. That's 40,000 for a full set. Somebody's making a killing out there.
What did you do about the geneticist?
I brought in some of his employees for interrogation to see if I could get them to talk. While I was interviewing one of them, I came across something suspicious.
You mean threatened? Was that really necessary?
Maybe, maybe not. Either way, it paid off. One of my detainees started bleeding profusely during the interview. We offered to patch him up, and he got frantic, freaked out. I ordered a full exam to find out what was going on. Our medics found incisions all over his body, some of them fresh. That was our big break. These people weren't just Dr. Salion's employees. They were test tubes. Walking, living test tubes.
He was growing parts inside these people?
Exactly. He cloned their organs right inside their own bodies. Then he harvested them and sold them off. Most of the victims were poor. He'd pay them each a small percentage of the sales, but only if the organs were good. Sometimes an organ wouldn't grow properly, so he'd just leave it in them. Most of them were a mess, but only on the inside, hidden so nobody could see it.
I hope he got what he deserved.
That's the worst part. We never caught him.
Why not? What the hell happened?
He ran, blew his lab, grabbed some of his employees, and headed for the nearest space dock. By the time I found out, his ship was already leaving. He threatened to kill his hostages if we tried to stop him.
But you went after him anyway, right?
I ordered Citadel Defense to shoot him down, but CSEC headquarters countermanded my order. They were worried about the hostages, worried about civilian casualties if the ship was destroyed so close to the Citadel. I told them those hostages were dead anyway. He just used them to make more organs, but they wouldn't listen.
Yeah, I do agree with them. This is very specifically a recreation of the situation that just happened in the previous mission with the Batarians.
Well, it's not worth the risk. You pursue the vessel and disable it. That's the best choice.
They sent the military after him, but he got away just the same. Yes, they did. I went to Palin and told him what I thought of him and his policies. He said if I didn't like it, I could quit. Well, I almost did. All they had to do was disable that ship, stop him from running. Maybe the hostages die, maybe they don't, but at least we stopped the bastard responsible for it all.
If you don't care about the fate of those hostages, then you're no better than he is. You're just a terrorist with a badge.
Yeah, maybe you're right. It doesn't make it any easier, but I see your point. Just wish I could have stopped him. That's all.
Do you have any idea what happened to Dr. Salion?
I sent out feelers from time to time, hoping to find something. I thought I'd found him a while back. He changed ships and changed his name to Dr. Hart, his idea of a joke, I guess. I told the military, but they weren't convinced it was him. I got the transponder frequency for his new ship, but I just can't get anyone to check it out.
I'll check out the coordinates when I get a chance.
I was hoping you'd say that, but Commander, take me with you when you go. If it's Salion, I want to be there when you find him.
Okay, I'll do some quick inventory management. I'll probably speed it up. It's not super interesting. Okay, I'll sell the rest to avoid the clutter in the inventory.
Looking for supplies?
Let's see what you've got.
You bet, Commander.
Do I have enough time to accomplish anything substantial in this episode? Kinda doesn't look like it, but maybe if I get a space cluster that's small and do one of those minor missions. I think I'll be going to Noveria now. Although I'll land in the other system first.
Commander, urgent message from Alliance Command coming in. I'll patch it through.
Shepard, this is Admiral Hackett from Alliance Command. We've got a situation here, and you're the only one that can handle it.
What do you need, Admiral?
There's an Alliance training ground where we test weapons and technology in live fire simulations. One of the VIs we use to simulate enemy tactics in the drills is no longer responding to our override commands. It's gone rogue.
Are you telling me this computer is thinking on its own?
We're not stupid, Shepard. This is a virtual intelligence, not a true AI. It's not self-aware, and it can't access any external systems. We didn't do anything illegal here. Virtual intelligence support is critical to our military success. VIs process thousands of status reports and react in nanoseconds. No human can do that. We need you to fight your way through the training ground of the VI core and manually disable it.
Can't you disable it remotely?
Our failsafes aren't responding. The VI operates on a closed network. It can't affect any external systems, but we don't have any direct access to its processes. We could bomb it from orbit, but the damage to the facility would be catastrophic. We'd prefer to have someone shut down the core. Someone like you. I know Spectres answer the Council, but you're still human. You're still part of the Alliance military, and right now we need you. The VI controls all the facility's weapons, drones, and automated defenses. You're the only one that can pull this off, Shepard. Good luck.
Okay, so you know what? I'll actually do that first. Because it gives you a specialization. Yeah, this is our solar system. I don't think I can find anything in our solar system, because obviously it has been thoroughly explored and the resources exploited, you know, long ago. Still, let's read the descriptions of the planets. Though Neptune, like Uranus, it has plentiful helium, its remoteness made it an unpromising target for mining before development of Mass Effect drives. With Uranus cheaper to exploit, it has never seen extensive development. The only permanent human presence is a small research facility on Triton, population 70. After the development of Mass Effect FTL drive, distant Uranus was the target of the Land Rush to exploit its combination of plentiful helium-3 fuel and shallow, for a gas giant, gravity well. Today Uranus is the largest producer of helium-3 in the Alliance space, population 371,000, capital Sakharov Station. Saturn has been a major source of helium-3 fuel for fusion plants since the 2150s. The moon of Titan is mined for hydrocarbons and used as a hostile environment training facility for the Alliance Marines. Population orbitals in Titan 117,000. Capital Hugeness Dome. Jupiter's deep gravity well and lethal radiation have kept its moons from being significantly exploited. The largest outpost is Binary Helix Corporation's Nautilus facility, attached to the underside of Europa's ice sheet. Population on all moons 9,100. Once considered a prospect for terraforming and colonization, the discovery of faster-than-light travel turned Mars into a quiet backwater. Its southern pole is a historical preserve centered on the Protean ruins found there. Immigration and development are restricted as the search for Protean artifacts continues. Colony founded in 2103. Population 3.4 million. Capital Lowell City. With its molten temperatures, sulfuric acid clouds, and crashing carbon dioxide atmosphere, Venus has only a handful of research outposts. Population 800. A handful of solar power stations exist on the peaks of eternal light at the north and south poles of Mercury. The difficulties imposed by the planet's proximity to the Sun and high orbital velocity have limited development. Population 340. And here's Earth and the Moon. For detailed information, please refer to the standard issue Alliance Galactic Codex. Earth orbit is riddled with debris generated by bootstrap space development. Use of kinetic barriers is recommended at altitudes over 85 kilometers. Population of the surface 11.4 billion. Population of the L4 and L5 stations 25 what? I've 250,000. My mind sort of broke for a second. Like, I guess I was trying to render that in hundreds, which would be 250 hundreds? That doesn't work. Anyway, population of the stations is 250,000. And now the Moon. An early source of helium-3, Luna is now mined for materials used in space habitat construction. 2,000 major split stations have been constructed at Earth's L4 and L5 Lagrange points, all from lunar resources. Colony founded in 2069. Population 4.1 million. Capital Armstrong. Okay, let's land on it. And let's take the humans. It's only fair. That's a Soviet Union era probe. There's really not much to see on the Moon, which is pretty weird seeing how relatively densely populated, well, I guess densely populated. It has 4 million people on the entire moon, which is not that dense really when you spread it over the surface area. And you know, any military complexes would probably be far away from the cities, especially the ones where they want to have live combat exercises. Okay, there are 2 modules to disable here, but I am going to do it next time because this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to save and end it for now. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!